We're at Radio Days Europe here in Munich, Germany, and this is KJ.
That's right.
But KJ stands for?
Khairy Jamaluddin from Malaysia.
From Malaysia. Now, you were a very well-known figure in Malaysia for good and for bad and for worse and for blah, blah, blah. You were in politics, and then January last year, what happened?
So I was in politics. I was a minister in the government, and in November 2022, I was sent to a different seat, a very difficult seat to contest, and I lost marginally. January of 2023, I was sacked from my party.
You were kicked out of the party?
I was kicked out of my party.
For dissent, they said?
That's what they said.
In your view, why were you kicked out?
Well, clearly because I challenged the leader of the party. I said he had to take responsibility for electoral loss. He didn't want to. And I guess he was fed up with my face.
And you were becoming more and more popular. You had growing support behind you. So you were a threat.
Maybe. That's kind of you.
Now, what's a politician doing at Radio Days, a broadcasting conference?
So this is my second act.
This is your act two?
Act two. I was cast out of politics, didn't know what to do. Probably couldn't do anything else apart from speak. So I decided to start a podcast. That's what castaway politicians do, right?
And you wanted to stay in touch with your electorate.
Yeah. I wanted to stay relevant. I still care deeply about public issues, current issues, and that was a way for me to stay connected and to stay relevant, I guess.
Wow. And be a voice in society.
Yeah.
And were you on radio before this happened? Did you have a background in radio already?
No, so it was interesting. I started my podcast. I planned my podcast, and while I was planning my podcast, a radio station independently, separate from my podcast, called me and said, do you want to be a presenter? Do you want to be a DJ on radio, on the morning show? Then I said, yes. So now I do two. I'm on radio and podcast.
And the radio station you do is upbeat, is youthful, is it? It's not a talk morning show.
It's upbeat.
Music.
It's music. It's light stuff. It's jokes. I come on Monday mornings. Only Mondays. I do once a week.
Okay.
Set the mood for the week.
Set the mood for the week. The radio, though, it's state controlled.
It's a private radio station, but it's regulated like most other countries. Regulated by the commission.
Regulated by the government who kicked you out.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can have more latitude and freedom to say what you want to say on your podcast.
Yeah. So on radio, because it's light, because it's cheerful,
you don't get into those things anyway.
I'm on side most of the time.
But it's good for the profile as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah, so they want something edgy, they want something unfiltered, they want something raw, they listen to the podcast.
Great. And then on the podcast, do you have complete freedom, or is there a problem that you could say something that could get you into trouble in Malaysia?
I mean, you have laws against hate speech and sedition and things like that, but I mean, it's fairly broad. It's fairly broad berth that they give you. We've had complaints from ministers saying, look, you have to be fair. And my response is simple. If you want us to be fair, you have the right of reply. Come on.
Yeah. So you invite them on?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm rushing back now because the Minister of Home Affairs, Security Minister, wants to be on the podcast. So I've got to interview him tomorrow.
You don't have a background in broadcasting, politics, but what do you think of it? Are you enjoying it?
Well, I had a short stint as a TV presenter before I went into politics, but that was too short to be anything meaningful. I love it, and I came into broadcasting and podcasting thinking that one day I could use this as some measure of relevance of going back into politics, but I'm not quite sure I want to go back into politics now.
You're not sure you want to?
I'm enjoying myself too much.
But once it's in the blood, a politician is always a politician, no?
Yeah, but you can affect change from the outside, and we've seen that through things that we've said, campaigns that we've launched, moving public opinion on the podcast. But of course, it's different, and I suppose one day I'll be sucked back then.
Did the party do you a favor in a way by kicking you out because you have this new lease on life and you're still in touch with the people, maybe even more so now? You have a more intimate relationship.
Yeah, so it's more personal.
Yeah.
The number of people who come up to me and say, I hated you when you were a politician.
Yes.
I quite like you now. It's
because they see different sides of you.
Different side, a side which is more vulnerable, side which is, I do TikTok dances for radio. Yeah. There's no dignity left in me. I've not done this to prove a point to the people who kicked me out of politics, but they can't unsee me anymore. I've become like Rasputin. I refuse to die.
Would you like to be the leader of Malaysia someday?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, great meeting you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.